Coming up. To Pete
Oh my gosh, we're almost there. We're almost there. There it is. It's totality. This is just amazing. I can't believe I'm able to bring this to you. I'm taking my glasses off for a moment. They're starting to come out. This is just an amazing sight. I just watch for a moment while I gather myself because I'm just in awe of the sight that I'm seeing right now.
I have goosebumps and I'm not even there.
I'm with you.
Wow.
I'm with you too. It's hard not to revel in the moment and the wonder of it.
Sorry, guys. I gotta let it go. Okay, all right.
This is darker than Nashville. In 2017, the moon was further away. The moon is closer. I just can't believe it. This is unbelievable.
The moon's still just slowly inching across, but it is an eerie feeling. I mean, it really looks like this would be dusk on any other given day. But people all with their heads to the skies, to the heavens, people taking it in just all various ways. Of course, I said this is my first time. People describe this as a supernatural, as a spiritual.
Here in Dallas, the morning overcast petered out and a patch of blue broke through just as the day turned to night and back again in 4 minutes' time.
In this great American eclipse, the sign of Jonah and Nineveh is on 4/8. You already know.
It all lines up. It falls on Passover. The way that all the eclipses, the path of totality of all of them, the way
Jesus Christ is coming back April 8th, 2024.
Many have connected the April 8th eclipse with the rapture or the signs of the rapture. April 8th has passed. No rapture, no more incoming signs. Welcome, dear friends, to TIBP Media. Kindly like and share this important message to all. Some teach the last 7 years of Daniel has begun. April 7 is just around the corner.
I do know this. When Jesus does come, he must come at the rapture to take the church out. I do know this. When Jesus does come, he must come at the rapture to take the church out. And the church has got to leave in order for that prophecy. And God can't lie. He did prophesy. We're missing that final 1 week. So in order for that prophecy to take place, Jesus Christ must come back.
The 70th week of Daniel introduces a new character, the Antichrist, and ushers in the tribulation era. The tribulation is a 7-year period that begins when the church is raptured and ends when Jesus returns to earth. During this time, the Antichrist will ascend to power, and the earth will face judgment. It will also be the moment where God will turn his attention on the nation of Israel. According to Daniel's prophecy, the Antichrist will forge a treaty with Israel for 3.5 years before breaking it. Although the Antichrist will rise to prominence during this period, his reign will be brief. His demise has already been predetermined and will occur at the conclusion of the tribulation. The second coming of Jesus will mark the conclusion of this 7-year period of affliction. When he arrives, he will quickly judge the Antichrist and then begin his millennial reign on earth.
I do know this. When Jesus does come, he must come at the rapture to take the church out.
Is the explanation here on the whiteboard correct? Absolutely not. The rapturists try to justify their 7 years by lifting a prophecy of Daniel completely out of its context. By this devious manipulation of God's word, the rapturists believe they have extended the Jewish probation. And based upon this, they teach that all the fleshly Jews will be saved in a second great chance after the secret rapture takes place. In Daniel 9:24-27, God made a daring prophecy concerning the probation of the nation of Israel. He said, Daniel, 70 weeks, weeks of years, RSV, are determined upon thy people to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins. Please notice that God was going to allow Daniel's people 70 weeks to see what they would do with the Messiah when he appeared. The 70 weeks are prophetic time, and each day represents a literal year. So 70 weeks will be a literal period of 490 years, after which the Israelites would no longer be God's people. They would be rejected as a nation because of the rejection of the Messiah. Don't miss this point. In Daniel 9:25, that the prophecy of the 7 weeks was to begin with the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. That well-known date is 457 BC. From that date, 457 BC, the Jews would have exactly 490 years to finish filling up their cup of iniquity by rejecting the Messiah. Daniel 9:25 says that the Messiah would be anointed after 69 of those prophetic weeks had passed by. 483 years from the decree date of 457 BC. It takes no mathematician to figure the end of that prediction. It brings us to the year AD 27, the very year that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, and the Holy Spirit anointed him for his ministry. Since Messiah means anointed one, this had to be the fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy that the Messiah would appear in 27 AD. Now mark this fact. 70 weeks were assigned to the Jewish probation, but Christ appeared as the Messiah after 69 weeks. That leaves the 70th week for Christ to minister before the Jews' probation ended. What was to happen in the 70th week? Answer. Verse 27 of Daniel 9, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. The midst of the week would be 3½ prophetic days. That would be literal years from his baptism. And according to the Bible, the ministry of Jesus lasted for 3½ years. In the spring of AD 31, he was crucified. The veil of the temple was rent. Matthew 27 verse 51, signifying the end of sacrifices. Another 3½ years would lead up to the end of the 70 weeks and the end of Jewish probation. During that 3½ years, the disciples labored largely for the Jews. But in AD 34, the 70 weeks ended, Stephen was stoned, and the gospel began to go to the Gentiles.
3½ is the Great Tribulation. And that's when all the bad stuff happens, like God pours out his wrath and things like that. There's going to be 7 future years that we call the tribulation period. The Bible calls it the time of Jacob's trouble. It's the final week of Daniel, 7 years. But it starts with the 3½. The last 3½ is the Great Tribulation.
Is the explanation here on the whiteboard correct? Absolutely not. The tragedy of the rapture theory is that it takes these beautiful verses of Daniel 9:24-27 that predict the coming of Jesus, baptism, and crucifixion and apply them to the Antichrist. They do this by stating that it is the Antichrist that causes the sacrifice and oblation to cease after 3½ years. A misinterpretation of the rapture is that confuses something Christ hath done and applies it to the devil instead, is certainly a tragic occurrence. And yet this is the only way one can arrive at a 7-year tribulation period. How sad! Paul is not referring to some Superman suddenly to appear 2,000 years after his epistles. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. This clearly states that the Antichrist will be destroyed when Christ comes. He does not arrive after the second advent. The rapturists get their 7 years tribulation by lifting that 70th week of Daniel's prophecy completely out of context and shoving it far into the future. And here's the crowning clarification in this whole thing. Revelation 20 verse 4 assures that some of those who are raised in the first resurrection will be those who refuse to worship the beast, the Antichrist beast, and receive his mark. The return of Christ will be personal, visible, earth-shaking, and glorious event. Would you like to be ready and help others to stay ready? Kindly type in the comment section, Maranatha, Jesus is coming. Thank you, dear friends. If this video has been helpful, kindly like and share and continue to proclaim the truth in Bible prophecy.